back to another exciting episode of Double Barrel Podcast. My name is Chris.
I'm Justin.
And on this podcast, we review all things firearms and alcohol. Justin, what do we got on the table here today?
Well, this week we're talking about the Remington VTR or Varmint Tactical Rifle.
Okay. And this is a 700 platform, correct?
Well, it's your gun. You tell us.
Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look here. All right, Justin. I think before we start talking about the gun any further, we need to go over the 4 golden rules of safety. What are they?
So first off is obviously treat every firearm as if it is loaded. Second is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Third, never point the gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. Fourth, know your target and what's beyond. And then fifth rule, never mix your guns in alcohol.
Absolutely, and don't ever drink and drive. We do not support any of that. So just remember,
that's not okay.
A lot of us all enjoy these. We enjoy both. Enjoy them separately. Let's talk about the 4 categories of how we score each individual firearm. We have a score of 1 to 5 for those of you that are just joining us for the first time. This is to help see if this is the firearm that we're reviewing is a good fit for you, worth your time to pursue, or something that you should even be interested in. And again, this is all opinion. This is just how we feel about the firearm that we're reviewing. Categories are reliability, versatility, shootability, and cost.
Well, let's dive right into reliability of this Remington Model 700 VTR, or Varmint Tactical Rifle. Now, this rifle is special.
This, in very multiple ways, it is special.
It is special in multiple ways. For those not too familiar with firearms, this isn't a heavily modified firearm.
Very.
This is not the factory spec, and we're going to actually talk about this one in both the factory spec and in the modified spec because there are wildly different ways that this gun functions in both ones. So we feel this one is necessary to have both scores. We can't just do the modified score because it doesn't work that way.
No, and most of the guns that you're going to buy like this, if you're looking at one, you're going to end up 9 out of 10 buying one that's factory. A lot of the people that have done what I've done with this one aren't selling them now.
No, they're not. And we'll get into that as we talk a little bit about cost later on. But starting with reliability, let's start with our factory spec. And in factory spec, this is not the original stock.
Nope.
Where did you get this stock? Remind me.
This stock was actually a stocky stock. Say that 5 times fast.
Right?
Yeah. Website, I've bought a few stocks off of them before. This is actually one of their hand layup thumb hole stocks is how they classify it.
Okay.
And then I took it to a gunsmith who did a phenomenal job. His name is Brent at Lakes Guns and Gunsmithing in Sandy, Utah. Loved the work. It was a very long and painful process for all parties involved just because of the amount of time and energy it took into this.
Now, remind us why it took so much time and energy.
The VTR, for those of you who do not know, has a very unique barrel. The barrel is actually a bull barrel that has been shaped into the shape of a triangle. And the reason why that is a triangle with the integrated muzzle brake type system up here is for heat disbursement.
Yeah, but when they did that, what they did is instead of on a normal round barrel, the barrel is a very consistent size all the way down. This one is so wide down here. It's wider than almost all of the other barrels for this model of gun, just the Remington Model 700.
What's actually very interesting is I actually compared it to my Remington 700 Sendero, which has the 26-inch bull tack, like long range barrel. That is a very thick, heavy barrel. At the bevel right here, where this thing widens out at the most, it is wider than the Sendero barrel.
Yeah, and this is a 308, and that's a 300 Win Mag.
Yes, and we'll review that one another day. We'll talk about that one.
No, yeah, we'll talk about that rifle another day. But just the way that the barrel is on this, we couldn't just take the stock and drop it in ourselves. We actually had to take it to a gunsmith, and that's why it was such a long and arduous process, is because that barrel caused so many issues. That barrel is the whole reason we actually replaced the stock on this.
Well, the stock, in all reality, too, was a major dumpster fire. Even though it felt good, it was just, for those that are familiar, it's a standard SPS tack stock. With the way that Remington designed those stocks as they were starting to have a lot of QA issues and they were starting to, eventually go out of business, it was just a cheap, hollow, pillar-bedded stock. It wasn't any good. And the other thing, before we go any further, I do want to mention, though, the detachable box mag, that is a addition as well. The original factory is just a hinged floor plate.
Yeah. So it's now the detachable box mag, which this one is a 5-round, right?
Correct, yeah, 5-round.
But you can get up to 10?
Yeah.
15?
Yeah, I think it's 10, actually, on
10?
this one.
Okay. But yeah, that's just what's available in the Stocky stock, which is an amazing stock. I love this stock. I love the way it feels. It distributes the weight really nicely. But in the factory SPS stock, the gun wasn't very heavy.
No, it was a great field gun.
It was a great field gun. But we couldn't hit the same place twice.
We were like the stormtroopers in Star Wars. It was not even the broadside of a barn, man.
We weren't even that good.
Wow. Well, what was it? We couldn't even do 6 inches. We couldn't get it to group 6 inches at 50 yards or something like that.
We couldn't get it to group 8 inches at 50 yards.
It was just
we were one side of the paper. We'd adjust the stock or adjust the scope, and then we were on the other side of the paper, and we'd adjust again, and then now we don't know where we are.
Well, and we even had it strapped in a lead sled and everything, and come to find out, when Remington designed this gun and they just dropped it in that standard SPS stock, up here, the stock, with it being pillar bedded, was just pushing and crushing against the barrel. So every time you pulled the trigger, it was pushing and moving the barrel. The barrel was in no means free floating. That's why this stock now is actually 100% hand glass bedded. This stock now, there was an insert that came with this. Brent had to remove the insert and actually do layers of hand bedding to get this stock to be a solid piece. Now this gun is literally a full solid gun now.
Full solid gun now. But going back to the original, as far as reliability, what would you give the original stock or the factory standard on this? What would you give it as a score?
0. And the reason I give it a 0 is this. Yes, it is a Rem 700. The bolt functions extremely well. Fed every round. Ejected every round spectacularly. The reason it gets a 0, if you cannot get a gun to group that is supposed to be a tactical style, tack driving, MOA gun to group at 50 yards, there is no reliability at this point.
And this is where I disagree with you. It gets a 1.
Okay, so not much better.
Not much better, but it gets a 1, and it gets a 1 because the bolt fed every round and ejected every round, and the trigger fired every round that we pulled the trigger on.
Okay.
Mechanically, this section right here,
mechanically the gun worked. It shot. It fired. Okay, I'll
mechanically
agree with that.
it worked, and mechanically it was reliable. But every other aspect of reliability that you want, like consistent shots, being able to actually aim the thing.
Even if it was at 2 inches, I would be giving it a higher score.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, if we'd gotten a grouping at all, it would get a higher score.
Absolutely.
But again, it gets a 1 because it functioned.
That's it.
That's all it did. But
we don't know if it's going to hit anything.
Oh, we just assumed it wasn't going to hit anything.
Exactly.
But now let's talk about reliability and a little bit more about the work that's gone into it. With all the work that Brent put into it, with that hand laying, the glass bedding, making the barrel free floating, what did it do to this gun?
This thing, the furthest I think we've taken it out is what, 350, 300?
We were at 450.
Was it 450?
It was 450.
We were sub MOA on an 8-inch gun.
Oh, yeah.
Tack driver.
At 100 yards where we sighted this rifle in is where we sight most of our rifles in.
That was the group of 3 or 4.
We had 3 or 4 shots that were in less than a half inch.
Yeah.
And then we were able to take it all the way out to 450 yards and hit every
Like we
Well,
literally
not
were
every
looking
shot
at the
because the
splatter of
gongs.
the gong.
The spinning of the gong kind of made that difficult, and we had a lot of wind that day.
But still, even for the amount of wind that we have, and I will admit, we had a massive cross breeze. I think that got up to 20.
Yeah, it got up to about 20, 25 miles an hour, but we were still able to hit the target 450 yards repeatedly. Mm-hmm. And this, before, you couldn't hit 50 yards repeatedly.
No.
So, obviously, our reliability scores for this go up.
I would give it a 5 now.
See, and I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Okay, well, I'm curious now. Why are you going 4.5 then?
I'm going 4.5 because, well, yes, now everything functions and now it is a repeatable rifle. The amount of weight added to this thing.
It is now, I think it's clocking in around 12 pounds now. And
It
with
went
the scope, I think we're now clocking in around 14 total.
Yeah,
now.
we're 12 to 14 pounds on this rifle, where before it was around 8, 9.
7 with the original SPS stock on it.
8 or 9 with the scope on it.
Yeah.
And so we've increased the weight so much that it just makes this gun a hard gun to wield around. And it,
For our hunting trip this year, it would not have. We brought it with. We had a friend that was going to use it. He ended up not coming with us. And I got to tell you, after the terrain and the stuff we got into, I love what Brent did. Kudos to Brent. It's just this gun is not a practical backcountry gun like you and I do on hunting trips. Again, though, now if we were to sit up on an overlook for like a nice draw or something, and we could see out to 600 yards, and we just throw the bipod out and we glass and spot. Awesome. Won't argue with it all day long. But for what we were doing,
for the type of hunting that we were doing, which is the get out and walk around, this was a little too heavy. But that leads us into our shootability, which or versatility.
Versatility, buddy.
Versatility. You're right. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Versatility.
We get confused. It's all right, man. We're all here to have fun, right, folks?
Usually. So the versatility of this rifle, the VTR came in 3 calibers, which is the 22-250,
223,
the 223, and the 308.
Correct.
Now, as the name implies, it was primarily a varmint rifle.
Correct.
But the 308 caliber actually takes it up into that deer and elk range, so it could go...
It could go big game.
It could go big game.
Well, and 308 actually, the caliber, and don't quote me on this, but if I remember my research correctly, can take 80 or 90% of all the animals that populate the world.
I don't know about that, but it can take pretty much anything that I can think of.
Anything in North America for sure. I mean, short of maybe a moose or like a Kodiak or something like that.
Well, yeah, 80 to 90% of what's available in North America, I would agree with. I would not agree with the world.
Well, we're talking some African big game at that point.
Well, yeah, but that's still part of the world.
I think for the versatility, though, we have a caliber that's been around for decades, and you can get anything from, on the hand load side, you can get anything from 90 up to 230 grains. Factory ammo, you can get anything from like a 125, 130 all the way to like a 220, 200 grain. You have
easily.
Huge variety there.
Huge variety there. And then in the 22-250 and the 223 rounds, you actually go as low as 45 grains.
Correct, yeah.
So, and then you start once you get back up into about 90, which I think is beyond the 223, but the 22-250 I think is.
I'm not too familiar with the 22-250. That's kind of
that's one around that I'm not overly familiar with either.
No, I mean,
but I want to say that one goes to like 120.
It possibly could.
115.
But the reason why this gun was actually developed with the barrel that it actually has on is kind of interesting. Remington, the word innovative comes to my mind on this. They tried to innovate and make something work, and I felt like when I was doing all the research, because this gun really intrigued me, this was like, okay, I see what the engineers were trying to design, what they were trying to get this gun to do. They were trying to take a gun that is normally 26 inches long, bull barrel, heavy barrel, shrink it to a 20 inch, but it's still find a way that you can shoot the rounds that a 26 inch bull barrel does. So on paper and theoretically, the design makes sense and works.
No, I agree. And on paper, it made sense and worked. But the whole purpose of that triangular barrel was to disperse heat so you could fire multiple rounds repeatedly. Because, again, it's a varmint rifle, and when you're going after varmint, you very often will get 2 or 3 or 4 running at the same time.
Right.
And you want to tag as many of them as you can.
You got to do follow-up shots, absolutely.
And so I understand what they tried to do. But in its factory spec, I mean, versatility, we really can't knock it too much. Because it could do a lot of different things if it could have hit the broadside of a barn.
I personally would go 2.5, and I feel like I'm being generous on factory spec.
You know, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Okay, that's fair.
Because, again, I can't give it a high score because it's not very versatile if it can't hit the broadside of a barn. But the range that the rifle came in, the range is available to hit.
And the original configuration was actually a backcountry gun as well. It was very portable, very usable. I would almost say compact in a lot of ways. Again, though, that's the reason why why it's getting the 2.5 out of me instead of like a 0 or a 1 is because it was a great design, great idea for the time when it was engineered and developed and designed. Just horrible execution by Remington. I was very disappointed at the execution by Remington on this.
You and I both were very disappointed at the execution on this one. I feel like they could have done a lot better had they put a little more time into it, but they didn't.
Well, and here's the thing. Before, I was a diehard Remington. Yeah, I swore by Remington. That's what I bought. That's what I owned. That's what I used.
I mean,
this gun just completely, it really destroyed a lot of my loyalty to Remington.
It did. Like, I remember when last year when I was buying that
Savage,
my hunting rifle that I took this year and last year, I had talked about getting a Remington 700,
and I told you you'd be stupid if you bought one.
You shot them down hard.
And I remember the look on your face when we were standing in the gun store.
Well, by the time we got to the gun store, I was pretty much set on the Savage, but I wanted to look at the Remington. And even when I looked at the Remington, you almost yelled at me again in the gun store.
Like, put that back on the shelf. Let some other poor unfortunate soul deal with that.
Yeah. But so
modified state now.
Modified state
5.
You know, I do have to give it a 4.5.
That's fine.
Because again, there's that one last little bit of range that this rifle just can't go into.
I'll agree with that. I give it a 5, and the reason why is it's not a backpacking gun anymore. It's not as compact or as packable. You know what? And now that I'm rethinking this a little bit, it's like as much as I want to give it a 5, I'm going to have to go 4.5 as well because it does miss that last piece of the puzzle for me. Because this had to be done. Let's be realistic. I'm being very realistic with you guys right now, everybody that's watching. This gun had to transform into this for it to be a usable and not a dead gun anymore. But in doing that, it did lose that aspect that it was designed for.
Well, even before it lost its, the aspect of it being a backpack gun, it's still, you can't take it moose hunting, you can't take it for bear. And that's, for me, to get a full perfect 5 out of 5,
we got to be able to go into that territory a little bit.
It's got to be able to do.
Well, we could probably do black bear, but when we get into some brown bears and stuff, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a 308 brown bear or grizzly bear.
No,
I'd probably do a black bear, but I'd
be hesitant to take it against a moose.
I wouldn't do a moose. No.
I mean, like, there are things that it can't do, and then of course it can't go back.
It's heavy.
Go backpacking anymore.
Yeah. So
that's why
we're
it gets
both
its
in agreement on a
4.5.
4.5 then, is what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, we're 4.5 as far as versatility goes in the modified state. And you're right, the modification had to happen because it couldn't do anything in the unmodified state.
No, not at all. Well, let's go into shootability. This one, to me, is going to be a really interesting... I've got an interesting take. And may I just give my spiel on this
you
one?
Give your spiel on this
This
one.
one's not going to be a very
interesting...
long one for me. Shootability, for me, comes down to as I consider myself a mid to advanced shooter is where I kind of classify myself.
I'd agree with that.
And if I'm going to pull this gun out and look at it, for me, even though I do work out, I work my arms out a lot, this would be a very hard gun for me to shoot standing. Now, I have done it at 100 yards. I've been able to hit an 8-inch gong 100 yards from a standing position or a squatting position.
But you were only able to do it once or twice before you had to stop and
exactly.
And put the gun down.
And I had to use the sway tactic almost. It wasn't like on a lot of my guns where I can just naturally and just dead hold. I had to almost use the sway tactic there a little bit. This gun for me in the original factory state gets, I'm going to give it a 2.5. And the only reason I give it a 2.5 is because it was a lot easier to shoot standing up. It cycles well. It's an easy caliber to get someone who you're teaching or who wants to get into bigger calibers. It's 308's a very manageable rifle, even for anybody, teenagers, even children, females, smaller people. It's a usable gun.
It is
a usable caliber. In the modified state, though,
let me talk about my unmodified state.
Go ahead, please. Yeah,
before we jump into your modified score,
go ahead.
So in the unmodified state, I actually give this a 2.
Okay.
As far as shootability goes, because again, it's very light. It was easy. It would have been very easy to teach somebody to shoot with. The 308 caliber, I agree, is a very teachable round. It's like a 308 caliber rifle is something that I would use to teach someone the second time shooting rifles.
Yeah,
because it's that short action rifle, and so the rounds aren't super big. They don't have a ton of powder behind them, and it's something that you can use to teach people better than you can with like a 30-06 with that big old caliber. And so I would absolutely use this as a teachable gun. But again, it fails because we couldn't hit anything.
It's just going to be frustrating no matter who you are.
It would have been very frustrating. Unless you were a small child who doesn't care if they hit anything, might have been fine with it.
They're just cool, having fun doing it.
They're just having fun pulling the trigger. Might have been fine. But anyone who actually wants to hit the target would be very frustrated with it. And so it gets the 2 for me in that unmodified state. Now we can talk about
the
modified state.
All right, modified for me, it's going to get a 4. Now, here's why it's getting a 4 and not a 5. Again, it's heavy. The gun gained so much heft to it. I would still use it to teach somebody. I would still use it like we talked about on a specific situation for hunting. It's more of a bench gun now. It is fun. I think when we go back out shooting next time, we probably need to actually take it out to 800 yards.
And see if he can do it.
And actually just, let's put this thing to the test, because the whole purpose of this was, all right, let's get a tack driver. Let's get a long-range tack driver. All right, And so far, I've been extremely impressed. The only reason it's not getting the 5 for the shootability is the fact that the heft now is there. But the reason why it's getting the higher score too, though, is now this gun, it has no recoil now. It's gone for the size now.
There's a little bit of recoil left. See, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction.
Okay, interesting.
I'm actually only going to give this a 3.
Okay. So it's losing half a point, probably for the weight. Is that what I'm guessing?
The weight on this is just such that I feel like even for you and I, it is a bench only gun. You can, like we said, you could shoot it from freestanding once, twice.
Then you got to rest. You got to rest your arms.
Then you got to rest, and reset. But even when you're doing that once or twice, it's so heavy, you only have like 10, 15 seconds at most.
I was going to say, at most.
To do both shots.
I mean, I had to pull that first one, I think, within 5. I didn't have a lot.
You have 2 or 3 seconds that you're actually able to hold the gun still, sight, and shoot. Mm-hmm. But then everything else after that, it's the weight just
you're
starts
going
getting
into
to
the
you.
sway effect there.
Yeah.
The reason why,
And
the other thing I really like about this though is if we had our wives out in the field with us, I actually feel like both of our wives could actually shoot this gun now extremely well, and they would actually have fun with it.
I mean, I feel like they could shoot it from the bench.
Yeah.
And actually might have some fun with it. That I'll agree with. But it is for me, it's a bench only gun now. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to have it bipod deployed on a hard surface to really shoot this thing. And so it's only going to get a 3 for me.
That's fine.
Because, while it does, now it hits the target, like you said, the recoil is essentially gone on this, which makes it much more enjoyable to shoot.
Absolutely.
But it's just so heavy. It's a chore.
It is.
And so I don't like that.
Well, let's get into probably the most important category, if not the second most important category for, I feel like, anybody buying a firearm. And that is cost.
Yeah, the cost on this one. You paid what, $850?
$780 for it.
$780.
And I bought the stainless steel version because at the time this gun was made, Cerakoting really hadn't really blown up and taken off. It really wasn't too much of a thing. And the way to kind of get around because I bought it for a field gun. I was like, okay, this is going to be a field gun. It's going to be just a gun that I use a lot. So I paid the extra, I think it was like $180 for I think it was about an extra 80. Yeah, because the blued was $700 and then the stainless was $780.
Okay. Now, $780 for a gun that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I think you all can guess where this is going. Our score is
goose egg.
Yeah, it gets a 0 from both of us on this one.
On the factory.
Because in the factory specs, it didn't work.
Nope.
It looked cool.
That's about it. It was a showpiece. Hang it above your fireplace and talk about it.
Yeah, hang it on the wall and leave it there. And, how is a triangular barrel thing?
Yeah, conversation piece.
It was a conversation piece. And I'm sorry, I don't feel like spending $800 on a conversation piece.
Now, here's where this gets a little crazy, though. I've looked on Gunbroker to see, because these aren't in production anymore. The new Rem Arms company that is now the new Remington after they went bankrupt and have been bought and redeveloped and deployed, from what I can read, has no intention of bringing this particular model of the 700 back because carbon fiber has kind of eliminated the innovation that was here. Now, that being said, though, you can still find them on Gunbroker and on the used market. Guess how much they're going for, though, in the 308?
In the 308. Are we asking how much I would pay for it, or how much
what they're actually going for?
What they're actually going for?
Very surprising.
I think we said they were going for like $1,300.
Cheapest I found was $900 to $1,300 in factory spec.
Don't do it.
No, don't do it. It blew my mind.
If you have a bid on one in the factory spec, you're going to have to spend another $500 to $800 to make it work.
And
just be aware of that.
I was at the $800.
Yeah, you were at the $800 mark because we had to take it to a gunsmith.
And he had it for 10 months. He fought it for 10 months trying to get this done. It was and here's the thing, I cannot fault Brent.
Oh no, Brent did a phenomenal job.
He did exactly what he set out to do. In fact, at one point, we got about 6-7 months into this thing, and I needed this gun back because I needed it for our other friend who was going hunting with us who never went. And I finally told Brent, I said, "Look, dude, I need to have it, or I got to go buy another gun." He's like, "We'll get it," because it even got down to the point where I said, "Brent, what do we got to do? Do we need to take the barrel off and just replace the barrel at this point?" He's like, "No, we're too far into this." He's like, "This thing has been driving me nuts. We're committed to this."
Which is funny because if you'd replace the barrel on it, And now it's a standard Remington 700.
Well, you know what's funny though? If I would have replaced the barrel on it, I would have just done a carbon fiber proof research on it and dropped another $1,000 on it.
Yeah, but
But you see where we're going with this, folks. It's like a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket that we are throwing money into.
it really was. And so if you see them on the used market, be aware there's a reason it's on the used market, and that reason is it's not a reliable gun. At least in the 308 version, we couldn't get it to hit the broadside of a barn.
I've read a lot of forums on these because when we were having this issue,
Oh yeah,
I was digging hard. Probably 90% of the reviews I was reading about, all of them said they had to replace the stock. I only found maybe 2, 3 at the most that were positive reviews right out of the box.
yeah, and that's
Rare.
so it's extremely rare that you're going to get a good factory one.
Mm-hmm.
So, in our opinion, don't do it.
If you're gonna buy one, my personal opinion is
Spend $300.
I'd say don't go over 5 if you're gonna buy one, because you're gonna have to put time and energy. And here's the thing: as much as I love this stock, the stocky stocks, this is not the right stock if you're trying to do more of a drop in. You're gonna have to go to an MDT, or you're gonna have to go to a chassis system to get the clearance, and even that's gonna be questionable at that point.
Oh yeah, I don't think it matters what stock you get.
There's gonna need to be modifications.
There's going to need to be
barrel.
modifications. Now, if we found one on the market in the modified state for around $800 or $900,
I'd buy it, absolutely.
oh yeah, sure, I'll spend the $800 or $900 on one of these in a modified state. Unfortunately, we're not seeing any in the modified state in the used market.
I've seen one, and it was in the 22-250, and it was used, and it had like a Boyd's on it or something. It was modified. Again, though, that one I think was going for around $1,200 to $1,300, and I get why the individual that was selling it was trying to sell it for that price, because that individual probably went through the exact same thing that I did on this one, where it was just agonizing pain and suffering of time and
money and frustration of trying to get it to work, and he may not. Even with that Boyd stock on there, it may still not work.
May have issues.
He may still have issues like Brent did when he first tried to put the stocky stocks on here.
Well, and so there was a lot of molding in here too, because this stock is actually a full aluminum bedded stock, and there was a lot of mill work that had to go into this stock as well. So there was a lot of time that went into this.
But yeah, still a lot of time that went into it. But at the same time, you're not going to see a modified version of this on the used market
very often.
Very often.
Very rare.
In the modified state, if we were buying it in the modified state for what they sold at factory, oh yeah, I'd give this thing like
5.
I'd say about a 4.
Yeah, I mean, it would get a very high score from us.
It'd get a 4 because in this modified state, paying $800 for it, we're just rounding up for simplicity's sake. Absolutely, yeah. I might
even go closer to 1,000 willingly.
I wouldn't because of the weight.
The weight is extremely heavy.
But I would pay $800 for a 308 that is reliable and it can go out to 800 or 900 yards and hit the target. Yeah, sure, I'll pay $800 for it.
I think in the modified state, the score that I'm going to give it, just on the research that I've done, I mean, I'm going to be. It's like I want to give it a 0, but I can't. It's probably going to go get 2.5, realistically.
Well, for the amount that you had to spend,
I could have bought the gun over again.
You could have bought the gun over again.
Yeah.
And so, for the cost to modify it,
I was about $800.
Yeah, so you're $1,600 into this rifle, and so yeah, I have a hard time giving it any better than a 2.5.
Yeah.
Because again, at the $1,600 mark, there are a lot of options.
We're
a lot of good options.
We're into a huge market at that point. I mean, we're looking at some very high end.
We're looking at some high end
nice
guns
rifles
that are super light, super great, and just the amount of money that it took to get it to the modified state is just
and time. It was a lot of time. All right, Justin, let's wrap this up and get into the scores. I actually got something real quick, though, before we jump into reading the scores. I got this scope on Amazon. It's a Vortex Strike Eagle 3-18. I bought it for like $290. I have been, like, I like Vortex. Vortex makes good stuff.
He buys everything in glass from Vortex.
Not true. I've got a Trigicon.
You have one Trigicon.
And I'm going to end up with another one.
Everything else is Vortex. You got mad at me for buying a Monstrum instead of a Vortex.
The Monstrum's very good. We'll talk about that
I
later.
just say,
again.
you do love your Vortex.
They make good glass. For $290, though, this was a great piece of glass, actually. It's been a fun scope. I think this scope fits this gun very well. What do you think?
You know, I think the gun and the scope are paired really well together. I don't think we'll ever actually use the 18 magnification.
No, it's just been kind of fun, though, to play with.
It has been fun to play with. However, there's one thing that we didn't talk about too much, and that's the 308 ammo. We use the cost and availability of the ammo in the 308 caliber. It's out there.
It's everywhere. I mean, if you can walk into Walmart, it's everywhere.
I mean, you can find it at pretty much anywhere that sells ammo.
Yeah.
And you're going to be looking about the average for a box of rifle ammo, anywhere from like $35 to $50 a box.
Well, that's hunting ammo. Blinking ammo, I found them like some Private Pattersons or something. I've gotten down to like $19.
I haven't seen anything that cheap recently.
More recently, we've been looking in the low 20s for just like PMC standard plinking ammo at like 150 grain.
Yeah, but I mean, average your average is still going to be around $30 to $50.
Yeah,
for a box of 20, and that's pretty standard for most rifles. But the 308 caliber is still a very, very popular caliber out there, and so it's available pretty much anywhere that you can find ammo. So don't worry too much about that. Same with the 223 and
22-250. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit more complicated because I feel like it's being phased out a little bit more.
I don't think there's a lot of 22-250 going on.
Yeah, and that's
anymore.
the thing. I don't really know if there's the 6.5 PRC's kind of nuked that one a little bit, and
I don't understand how the 6.5 PRC is taking out the 22-250 because they're different calibers for different things, and the 6.5 is bigger. And
I agree, but we'll get into that a little later. All right.
So let's talk about our scores here. Now, in the original configuration, or the OG gun, you gave this a 5 out of 20.
And that's still probably generous.
I feel like that's
still generous.
I do feel like that's a little generous.
But you were more generous.
I was. Just a little bit.
You were 6.5. Okay.
But there in the original configuration, there are still a few things that worked.
Yeah.
Like I said, the action.
The bolt is actually very smooth.
The
it
bolt
works
was
well.
smooth.
The
It
trigger is
worked.
good.
The trigger worked. The safety worked. It was light.
It was nice. Yeah. Okay, let's look at our modified score. All right, our modified score jumps up quite a bit here.
Yours jumps up a lot more than I thought it would. Yours jumps up clear to a 16.
Again, it became the gun, other than the weight, it became the gun I originally envisioned this gun being.
I agree. You know, it became a very good gun, and it's the gun that you wanted it to be, but I still feel like you're being overly generous with it.
Well, you gave it a 14.5, so you weren't too far off. You're a 1.5 off.
You know, a 1.5 off, but that 1.5, I still feel like
it got dinged on the weight from you. That seemed to be your biggest.
It got dinged on the weight and the cost.
Yeah, the cost was atrocious.
Because I don't think this, in its current configuration, is worth what it took to get it there.
Mm-hmm.
And the weight just makes it hard to enjoy this gun the way that we
originally wanted to enjoy it. Correct. At the end of the day, though, huge shout out to Brent at Lakes Guns and Gunsmithing. Highly recommend him. Go check him out. He did a phenomenal job with this. He put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it, and I feel like he's very upfront. He's fair with his prices. He's a good dude. Go check him out.
He did a wonderful job on this. And when I talk about it in current configuration, I don't feel like it's worth what it is. This has nothing to do with Brent and his team.
Absolutely not.
No, they did a phenomenal job getting this gun to where it was. because as we talked a little bit about this, we didn't think this gun was salvageable.
There was a
from
point.
From the original state to what it is now. But he managed to do it. He did a wonderful job doing it. It looks beautiful. It does feel beautiful as long as it's on the bench.
Well, it exceeded my expectations for what I got back.
Right.
It really did.
The weight is something that he really couldn't do anything about.
There was nothing we could have done at that point.
So I can't blame him for that, and I don't, but he did a wonderful job. So, yeah, absolutely. Great job, Brent. Keep up what you're doing.
All right, Justin, I think it is time to move behind the bar and get everything put away. And
we got to put everything away first, because remember, guns and alcohol,
they
don't mix.
No, let's go put this back in the safe, and then let's go see what we got mixing behind the bar. What do you think?
We got some good stuff mixing behind the bar, and we got some tribute to do.
Oh, that's right. We lost Jimmy today.
We lost Jimmy Buffett, and so we're doing some tribute to Jimmy on behind the bar.
It's a sad day. It's a sad day.
We'll be back, folks. Don't go away.
All right. Have a good day.
Welcome back to the Double Barrel Podcast, everybody. Now that we've got the guns put away, remember, drink responsibly. Do not mix your guns and your alcohol.
Absolutely, we do not condone that in any way, shape, or form, and nor should you. All right, so let's get right down to it. This is how scoring works in this segment. We have taste and aroma, drinkability, cost, and then our overall feel and how we feel like the drink actually is/alcohol. Again, score 0 to 5 actually, because I gave you down some zeros.
0 is allowed.
A 0 is actually allowed.
If it does that bad, we will give it a 0.
We will give it a 0, absolutely. All right, Justin. I'm scared, even though I know this is my bottle. We have. I fear. I'm in fear right now.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm also a little scared of this thing.
Is it because of the skull?
No. Because it's another vodka that I haven't tried yet.
So we're going to do another blind taste for you.
We're going to do another blind taste for me. We're going to do the Crystal Head vodka out of Canada. This one is, again, a corn mash vodka, but this one is distilled and filtered 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've already had this one, so I kind of know how it tastes.
I'm not surprised that you've already had this one.
Yeah.
Considering it is out of your collection. This is not out of my collection. But I want to try this one because I haven't tried it yet. And
real quick, though. I think it would be fair to mention that this is actually a celebrity alcohol.
I don't know if this is a celebrity alcohol. I know celebrities have a hand in designing the bottle.
That actually does count, believe it or not, as it being a celebrity alcohol. Whose is it, though?
Well, I don't want to get into that thanks to copyright law. I don't want him coming after me and getting mad.
That's fine.
So I'm not going to dive into that. If you want to look it up, just go to just Google Crystal Head vodka, and you can see who has their hands in this one.
Can I tell everybody who it is?
No.
Okay, then I won't.
We're going to avoid the copyright shenanigans.
Fair.
On all of this.
All right. Justin, I am going to ask you something, though.
We are only doing one shot of this.
That's fair.
Instead of the shot and a half that we did out of the last vodka.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though, that I do want you to remind everybody, because I feel like you have a lot of good insight when it comes to vodka. What makes good vodka?
So, a good vodka originally is odorless and tasteless.
Okay.
It should drink basically like burning water. That's where the word vodka comes from, is burning water. So it should basically be water with a little bit of burn to it.
Sure.
That's what we're looking for as a good vodka. Now, obviously, times have changed a little bit. Everybody's got their flavored vodkas, so it's becoming more and more acceptable for flavor to be in there. I still say good vodka is odorless and tasteless.
Okay, I'm ready.
So, real quick, obviously, first, let's smell this thing.
Ethanol. It's not as bad as the Silver Dollar was, though.
See, I don't even get the ethanol smell off of there. I get actually a little bit of citrus note off of that. Citrus and a little bit of corn.
I think that corn. I think I get the corn. Like, but it's, to me, it's more mellow.
It is definitely more mellow than the Silver Dollar was that we tried last time. But, I actually get some notes off the nose, which, again, to me, it means it fails a little bit as a high-end vodka.
I'll let you go first.
Process that a little bit.
All right, I'll go ahead and go.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Obviously, my reaction on the Silver Dollar versus this is totally different. This is actually a very smooth vodka to me. I'm not a vodka guy. Like we've said before, you are the vodka what I am the bourbon and vice versa.
This is true.
And this is a good vodka to me. I feel like I can drink it straight.
I can easily drink this one straight. It is smoother than the Silver Dollar.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta ask though, taste. Did you taste anything unique about that one?
No, I mean, I got...
I want to hear your...
Here's what I got on this. It was just a nice, smooth... Like you said, got the burn. But it wasn't... If I had to rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot it burned me, it's a 2, 3 at the max.
Yeah. The very, very, very mellow burn.
Yeah.
Now, me, this is just like with you on that bourbon we tried on our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
You got some notes that I didn't.
Correct.
I'm getting some notes that you're not. I can actually taste a little bit of citrus and a little bit of that corn that we know is coming through on the taste.
Okay.
So, to me, it did what I like. It was consistent.
There you go.
But yeah, it pulled through really nicely for me.
I will say I did get the corn because I felt the heat that you get from the corn mash that I sometimes get off. Well, not sometimes. You get off bourbon. You get that corn heat that comes through because bourbon's got corn mash in it. I got that. I really didn't find anything else in it on either taste.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the corn and citrus taste that I got were not overpowering. They weren't big jump out, scream at your taste. So this is, to me, very high up there on the odorless, tasteless scale. I had to get really close to smell it, and I could barely taste it as it was coming through, as I drank it. So,
what are you giving it?
I'm actually going to give this one a 4.5.
Okay.
And I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I feel like if you're going to have flavor in it, let the flavor come through. If you're not going to have flavor in it, hold it back. Don't have flavor in it. Don't be wishy-washy with it. And I feel like that one's kind of a little wishy-washy with it.
I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well because I'm not a huge vodka guy. And my go-to is always, Grey Goose. We'll review that one on a later date, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
This one, though, it hits. It's good. It's good to me. And I feel like it'd be really, really awesome in a cocktail. In fact, aren't you going to be making us a cocktail with this?
Well, not necessarily a cocktail. I'm going to make us a couple of screwdrivers.
Okay.
Because as we talk about these, we talk about neat and mixed. So I'm going to start mixing us a couple of screwdrivers.
Sounds good.
While we're talking about this here. But back into our current taste and aroma. Again, I feel like that one could have had a good taste to it, but they didn't really.
Just a good solid vodka. I feel
It's
like.
a good solid vodka.
It's
but
40%. So it's a standard. I feel like your standard vodka.
And so it's actually interesting. I did a little bit more digging after our first episode in vodka. I admitted that I hadn't done a lot of research on them. I did a little bit more digging.
Okay, which fine.
I found that vodka originated in Poland, not in Russia like most of us believe.
Okay, that is actually kind of interesting.
It did find its way to Russia, and Russia and Finland kind of
Made it famous for what it
made it
is
famous
today.
for what it is. But it originated in Poland and originally was only made by Polish royalty.
Cool. So we're drinking royalty alcohol. Is that what I'm hearing?
Originally, but
That's alcohol abuse.
I'm aware. So vodka started out originally as medicine.
Right.
It started out as medicine. It was used for cleansing of wounds, getting people and things like that. And then it wasn't until later on
You started getting snookered with it.
that people started getting snookered with it and actually using it as an alcohol. But it has kind of transformed from the original Polish drink to it's everywhere now. And it was actually originally used as a medicine. And then it got its name as burning water because it was used to clean wounds. You would use it for sterilization, things like that, kind of like we use rubbing alcohol now.
Okay.
It was used for that, and then it turned into a drink as we know it now. And Russia kind of took off with it, and the media didn't help with that. So that's where part of where vodka is at its now. So now we just got a couple of nice little screwdrivers here.
I taste zero. I'm going to go with your thoughts on this. That is the indication of a premium vodka. Is I can't taste the alcohol in this at all.
Well,
And you did a shot in this, right?
I did one shot of the vodka. It's about 3 ounces of orange juice. So
It's a 3-to-1 ratio.
3-to-1.
Well, when we did the silver dollar, I can tell you right now, I tasted the alcohol. I don't taste anything in this.
See, for me, that's how I like my drinks. I like to just go to a happy place without knowing I'm going to the happy place. For lack of a better way of explaining it, folks, that's how I like my vodkas and my mixed drinks to go. Is I want to be able to just drink the drink as if I'm just drinking a soda.
Okay.
I don't want it to hurt every time I drink. Now, you say you didn't taste the alcohol at all. I did.
Okay.
I actually picked up on it in there.
Interesting. Well, was it just the burn, or did you actually pick up on those citrus notes you were talking about?
So, I didn't pick up on the citrus notes. I actually picked up a little bit of the corn note.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I didn't pick up anything.
Yeah. And so, picked up a little bit of the corn and then a little bit of a burn.
Okay.
And those were mixed the exact same way. So, I find it interesting that the last vodka we did, I didn't detect it at all. You did.
Mm-hmm.
This time, I knew it was there. You didn't.
Well, what's interesting to me is both of those were actually corn vodkas.
They're both corn mash vodkas. I don't know how many more are corn mash or not.
I'm like I said, I'm getting barely tiptoeing into the world of vodka.
You are very detailed in world vodka. I'm just digging into more of how each of my vodkas was made so I can tell the good people
Yes.
at home. Which is why I don't know how many more of them were made, but I've tried a lot of them.
So for all you know, it could be out there. All right.
For all I know, it's the standard.
So it scored pretty high marks on taste and aroma for both of us. Where do we go next?
Next, we go into our drinkability. And to touch on drinkability, we do two or three different ways of looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
One is, would you drink it at a bar, cost notwithstanding? Would you drink it alone? And Was it good meat? Was it good mixed? Is it something you would willingly choose frequently? So for me, I'm actually going to give this thing a full 5.
Okay, and I'm not surprised by you giving it a full 5. Here's the to me, I'm going to give it a 4, and here's the only reason why I'm giving it a 4. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go 4.5, and here's the reason why I'm going 4.5. When I have a mixed drink, I'm weird. I guess I'm weird. I like tasting alcohol, and I like tasting the alcohol flavors in my mixed drinks. I don't like going to the happy place without going to the happy place.
I don't know if you're weird, because a lot of people I talk to are the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But then I've also met a lot of people like me who don't want to know. They just want to go.
Well, and vodka is also, to be fair to vodka, though, it's one of those alcohols where, like you said, it's supposed to be odorless, supposed to be tasteless. So, all intents and purposes, you're not supposed to taste it in the mixed drink that you're drinking.
Right. Well, and I didn't say it's supposed to be odorless, supposed to be tasteless, and I touched on that a little bit more. I did mention that that's kind of changing.
Right, because people want to have more of that.
They want to taste it. They
flavor.
want to have some flavor in it. But vodka started out being, and vodka means burning water.
Well,
Which is why it was supposed to be odorless, why it was supposed to be tasteless. And, for the first 200 or 300 years of its life, it was meant to be drunk neat. But then, all of a sudden, now it's in every mixed drink out there.
pretty much.
And that's how I primarily knew it, as a mixed drink. And so...
Well, neat. It's not like it was with the Silver Dollar. By the way, go watch that episode. It's a pretty funny episode. It's our first episode we've ever done. I liked it because it didn't almost knock me in my butt like the Silver Dollar did.
It did. The Silver Dollar almost knocked you in your butt. This one didn't. And I felt like this one actually was a lot smoother. For anyone who's not overly into the clear liquors or the vodkas yet, I would recommend it.
It's a good one.
It's a very good one. It was very smooth. It drank really well. Don't let my cynicism of, it had a taste, deter you. It was very, very good. It was a very good taste.
All right. Good reviews, good marks. Now let's get into cost. This one is on the higher end of the vodkas by far. Paid $70 for that bottle.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think I ever told you what I paid for that bottle.
You did not tell me what you paid for
That
that bottle.
So what drew me to this bottle, and I just want to let everybody know this. I'm not going to lie. This is what got me. I fell for the...
You fell for the bottle
I
design.
fell for the bottle design, and it was so good. But in my defense, though, I did research it, and the research that I had done on it, it actually was reviewed very well as a good vodka. So I was like, okay.
I'm going to pause.
Let's try and get you to go back to your mic. Keep your buttons lined up on your...
Funny story about how this bottle actually wound up in my collection. I really wanted a bottle of this vodka, though. My wife was in Windover on a trip. I can't remember. Anyway, I asked her if she found the Aurora bottle of this to get it for me because I really wanted to try it and have it in the collection. And I'm not going to lie. This got me. The bottle actually, I was like, okay, it's a skull. It's like a crystal skull. It's kind of cool.
It is super cool. I love this the bottle design on this vodka. This is one of those bottles that we're not going to throw away. We're going to reuse it.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it gets more vodka put in it or something else is another story altogether. Now, do you remember how much you paid for this one?
I believe my wife told me she paid $50 for it.
Okay.
Because this is not the Aurora. This is the normal Crystal Head.
This is the Crystal Head original.
Okay.
And the original actually MSRP is for $50.
Okay, so we paid market.
You make market value for it. The Aurora, if I remember right, is about $70, and then you have the Onyx for $90.
Right, because the Onyx is their black vodka.
Is their black vodka.
And there's actually a drink I really, really want to make, but it calls for specific black vodka, and it's a layered drink. It's called a Hades.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Well, remember I tried to make it to the Super Bowl party last year, and I couldn't layer it correctly because I didn't have that black vodka, so the tears didn't sit right.
No, it didn't work. But we're not alcoholics. We're not bartenders. We're just enthusiasts.
Former bartender here.
Don't admit to that.
Why?
Admit that you can't layer a drink and you were a bartender.
Well, in all fairness, apparently I had enough alcohol in me to where I thought a cran rain and vodka was a screwdriver in our first episode. And if I'm going to call myself a bartender, calling a cran rain and vodka a screwdriver, then I'm calling my bit of a buzz on that one.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know that I admit you're a former
I
bartender.
know my mistakes and I admit to my shortcomings on that one after I watched myself on camera.
But, this one being $50, again, it's distilled 7 times.
That sounds like a lot.
The last 3 are through Herkimer Diamonds.
Interesting.
I don't know what a Herkimer Diamond is.
Don't even know if that even can. Does that affect the?
I have no idea.
If anybody knows, please tell us. I'm actually intrigued by this.
Crystal Head says it does, and
maybe that's where your
I'm
sentence comes from.
inclined to believe them because
It's pretty good vodka.
it's pretty good.
$50. I don't feel like we can go wrong.
It was a $50 bottle of vodka. It's not horrible.
So hearing what I
vodka.
paid for it, or what my wife paid for it,
Yeah.
for the first time, what would you score it after what we've been through?
This is hard for me.
I know this one gets harder for you, but you also got to take into consideration.
No, it's hard for me because this is a very, very good vodka.
Mm-hmm.
It drinks really, really well. I like it,
Let me ask you this:
but
what?
at a $50 price tag,
If you had the $50 and you were going to the liquor store to buy a bottle of vodka, would you grab it over other vodkas?
Over other vodkas, I mean, the silver dollar for me is still going to be a high contender
Mm-hmm.
because
In this price range, though.
in this price range, I don't feel like it hits in that price range.
Okay.
I feel like the celebrities who have their hand in it have jacked the price a little bit higher than what it's worth.
Okay.
So for me, it's a 3.5.
Interesting. That's lower than I thought you were going to.
Yeah.
I figured you were going to be around 4.
No, it gets a 3.5.
What would you pay for it? What do you think it's worth? I'm actually curious now. I need to know.
Honestly, I paid probably 30 to 35. for
Really,
it.
you would put that in the same price category as a silver dollar? I mean,
I would put it in a slightly higher
Wow.
price bracket because it drinks smoother than the
Mhm.
silver dollar. Both of the silver dollar and the Crystal Head mix extremely well, but this one does better. I think.
I agree.
So I think it'd be worth that extra $5 to $10 for the
Okay.
bottle. Plus, it's a super cool bottle.
It is a cool bottle.
So I paid the extra $5 just for that.
Okay.
However, jumping it up to a $50 bottle,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it earns the $50 price tag.
That's fair. I respect that.
But
That's okay. These are our
It's not
opinions, our
horrible.
honest opinion and reviews. We
it's
tell
our,
it like it is.
at $50 for a bottle of Crystal Head, I might buy one bottle,
Okay.
put it on the shelf, drain the bottle, drain it by drinking it, don't pour that out, and then keep the bottle as a souvenir. But it's not something I'm going to buy repeatedly.
Okay. I kind of have mixed feelings on this. Now, mind you, I'm the guy that will spend $100 on a bottle of bourbon. So to me, $50 for a bottle of vodka. That's
But you're not a vodka guy.
here,
And so I have to question that because you're not a vodka guy.
right?
Typically, when you buy a vodka, you're buying it because I love the vodkas and you want to have drinks for me
Mhm.
and you want to have something that I might be. You enjoy on occasion.
I do enjoy a mixed vodka drink. Yeah, I mean, like vodka cranberries. I do enjoy vodka cranberry. I'm not gonna lie. I really do enjoy that cocktail.
Yeah, but it's not a frequent cocktail for you.
No, not at all.
So for you to say $50 for this versus that silver dollar that initially almost knocked you on your butt,
Mhm.
but mixed, it mixed super well. You loved that drink mixed.
I'm going to give this a 4, and the reason why I'm going to give it a 4 is I do feel like it's a little overpriced. I feel like it's more around a $40 to a $45. It's close to where it's priced at. I could drink it neat though, so it has to get more points in that category just because it wasn't such a punch me in the face.
I'll agree.
Type. Am I going to keep it regularly stocked on the shelf? Which is actually really funny now that we talk about this. So that Elijah Craig that we reviewed in our first episode, I actually need to go back and buy another bottle of that. So I have 2 bottles.
Not surprising.
No,
And
this one's hard for me because I don't know if I would regularly stock it in the bar or if it's regularly on my shelf. Like if I got a bottle of it or if I came across it and I was like, okay, I don't think it's one that I'm going to go out of my way to actually go buy.
But see, and I find that interesting because we talked about this. Keep going back to it. I know it's not on this episode, but that silver dollar we actually did say we would keep on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And we did say, it hit above its weight class. We felt like it was underpriced. And so this one,
it's got some interesting mixes.
It's got some interesting mixes on it.
That brings me to my next question, though. Then, what is your overall? Because now I'm really, really actually kind of curious what your overall opinion is of this now, because you scored it differently than I really thought you were going to score it in some categories.
I have thrown some crazy curveballs at you with this one. Honestly, I've thrown the curveballs at myself here.
Okay.
Now, overall thoughts on this vodka is it's a great vodka to drink neat. It makes really well. I think the silver dollar makes better. It's a little overpriced.
Okay.
I wouldn't pay repeatedly $50 for it.
Okay.
So my overall score on this one is going to be probably, again, a 3.5.
3.5. Okay, it's a little bit lower than I figured you would have gone with it, but that's okay.
I can't justify anything more than that because I've had vodkas that makes better.
Okay.
It is a very smooth, neat vodka. I've had a couple that were as smooth or smoother. So it did really well in that one category.
Okay.
But then the rest of it, I feel like it falls short of my expectations.
Not a problem.
Therefore, that's
why
it's getting that solid 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to give it a solid 4. And the reason why I give it a solid 4 is because I'm not a big vodka guy. I'm not huge into vodkas. I barely get into it. I'm looking at it as if you're like me, you're breaking into the vodka world, because obviously someone who's experienced in vodka isn't knocking it and saying it's good. It just may hit a little bit below its weight class. That's where I kind of feel like it's like, cause I hate to say I compare everything when it comes to vodka to Grey Goose, but I do. And that's why it's losing the point.
That's your reference point.
And that's just it. For me, that's my reference point. So that's why it's getting the 4 is because I feel like it's getting there, but it's not there.
Right. And no, it makes total sense that you compare this to a Grey Goose. Because, again, Goose is your reference point. Me, on the other hand, I've had so many different ones that I can compare it to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Now, would I deter anyone from buying this? No, absolutely not. If you ask me, hey, I'm looking at a bottle of Crystal Head, if you haven't had it, pick up a bottle. You'll enjoy it. It'll be a good bottle for you.
I agree.
I just don't think it's one that you should repeatedly spend $50 on.
And I can respect that.
So
we're within half a point of each other.
We're within half a point of each other. But the very interesting thing is, the guy that we've said from episode 1 to now, that is the vodka guy, gave it the lower score.
But
you gave it a 17.
We see that coming though, because we're going to critique. It's like with bourbons. I'm going to critique them harder than you're going to critique them. Same thing with vodka though, because those are our go-to. Like when we get into gin, I'm kind of a snob when we get to gin. We'll talk about it later.
I don't believe him. I've known this man for years. I have never seen him drink gin.
Because he hasn't been around me enough.
Not been around you enough.
I know you have. But I drink gin. I usually drink gin on my own. Like when the wife and I are having like movie night or something, I usually will have gin and tonic.
He says that, but I've known this man for years. I've drank with him numerous times. Never seen him drink gin, ever.
That's because I found other things to drink. Yeah, I mean, gin is gin.
I don't believe him.
Anyway, all right, 16 and a half. You gave it 16 and a half. I gave it a 17. Overall, it scored pretty dang well. I mean,
it's still a high score for us. I mean, it scored way better for you than I expected. I expected you to be down around.
This one is actually another celebrity alcohol. Cool thing about this one, though, I actually, for celebrity alcohol, really, really enjoy this tequila.
Well, I'm not going to knock celebrity alcohols.
They have a reputation.
They do have a reputation of getting a little big for their britches. However, most of them are pretty good.
So, the cool thing with this one, though, is I have a very hard time shooting tequila. I always have. Even Patron. And I know a lot of people can shoot Patron real easily. This is one of the very, very few tequilas I can actually drink straight. It's that good to me.
If we're honest, tequila and I don't have a good relationship.
Does it make your clothes fall off?
No, it's... You know my reaction to Elijah Craig on episode 1?
Oh, this is going to be great.
You know, it was almost the same reaction. Please don't pour it straight.
You have to.
No, I prefer you use a jigger because, you and your pores.
Well, hold on. Hand me another shot glass over there. I'm going to only do half. That one's taken with vodka.
So was that one.
Is it really?
Yes.
We've got it straight. I know you're probably looking at this going like, you're scared. I see it on your face. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to keep that up your scared face.
Here you go.
Like I said, tequila and I don't have a great relationship. I've never been great with it, so well, I'm not going to drink this yet.
Okay.
What's the first thing we're missing here?
A little salt in the lime.
Aroma.
Okay.
We gotta smell this before.
Sorry, I got Jimmy on the mind, man. That smells good, actually. That smells like a really good.
You know?
I think you're going to be very surprised with this one, Justin. I really do.
That doesn't smell bad.
It smells really good to me.
I expected that to burn my nose hairs a little bit.
No, there's no burn. That's what's awesome about it. I've had some tequilas that I've tried to drink straight, and they nuke my tongue and my throat so bad.
You know, I actually get kind of a vanilla taste.
I get citrus. I get that floral. This is just like straight up really, really good. So this one's a Raspado. I get that Raspado flavor in there.
I don't know what that means.
Raspado. I need to look it up again. I know my wife has told me.
I don't know too much Spanish, so he says Raspado. I know a lot of you are thinking, how does he not know what that means? I don't know.
I know my wife's told me. I know Blanco means white, but I can't remember. Yes, ma'am. All right, so it's a Reposado. And Reposado means it's aged anywhere, I believe, between 2 and 12 months in oak barrels, but it means rested. That means it's supposed to have a very smooth taste, which, frankly, you got one of them. Vanilla, oak, and caramel. I think the caramel is the missing note that I'm getting in there, that sweetness. It's almost like floral candy, but I'm getting it.
You say that, and now that you've said caramel,
you're placing it almost?
I'm placing that caramel smell. So I get the vanilla and the caramel.
Okay.
I don't really get the oak.
I really don't get the oak either. And normally I can pick up on oak pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. So,
cheers.
Cheers to Jimmy.
Jimmy, rest in peace.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll let you go first on this one.
You know, I'm very surprised. I'm still standing. I haven't died.
You had that look of, this is actually pretty good. This is a normal look.
This was actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it drank about as well as that Crystal Head did.
There you go.
the vanilla did transfer through. I did taste the vanilla.
Okay.
That's about it.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get much else coming through there.
Mhm.
But the vanilla did transfer through. And, I mean, I think I'm still standing.
You are. You're doing really good,
I
man.
don't think I'm falling off.
You're doing good. Here's what I got. And we talk about this a lot in the alcohol world. What is on the nose doesn't always transfer to the palate. In fact, it's very rare that it transfers to the palate. I got the vanilla and the oak on the palate. I didn't get the floral or the caramel now, but I did get, you know what? Hang on one second.
Yeah, take that second shot, because on the second one, I got the caramel and the oak.
Okay,
I lost the vanilla.
I lost the vanilla, oak, caramel, floral. I got the floral in there now.
Well, see, and what I think is interesting is this one, unlike what I like in my drinks, which is I like the consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I like every drink to taste the same from start to finish. You like the progressive, and which makes sense as to why you like this one, because I feel like that one actually it was progressive.
Yes, and it was progressive in a good way, I feel like.
I'm going to apologize for his noise in advance, folks. We're going to do one more thing in honor of Jimmy here. We're going to make ourselves some margaritas. We're going to try and send Jimmy off properly.
We got to do right by him.
Join him in a margarita in Margaritaville.
At the Tombstone Tavern.
At the Tombstone, well, Margaritaville via the Tombstone Tavern.
I hope that
Because we can't join Jimmy in Margaritaville currently.
I hope we don't join him for quite a while. We'll see him one day, but I hope it takes a while.
You know, I hope it takes a while as well. But I also hope his stop off in Margaritaville is nice and long and he saves me a seat.
Right, I agree too. Dude, that would actually be pretty sick to actually have
I would enjoy having a nice margarita with
a cheeseburger. That would be awesome.
with Jimmy Buffett, and then after we've had our margaritas, go and having a cheeseburger in paradise.
And that's how I got the book on the shelf too.
Yeah.
I don't think you've heard that song, but that's actually that's a
heard that
really good song. Actually, I can't remember if that's actually what its official name is, but that's actually a really, really solid song by him. So,
go ahead and step back away from the mic a little bit. This way.
This way. Okay, this way.
So let's give our scores on taste and aroma, because we like to do that at the taste and aroma on the meat shop.
I'll let you go first, actually, because you've impressed me quite a bit.
Hold on, I want to. I gotta get a good shake of margarita in here for Jimmy. I gotta do my part for Jimmy.
There you go, man.
On this one, I'm actually gonna give it. That might surprise you. I'm gonna give it a 4.
A 4?
A 4.
Wow.
Very close to a 4.5 for me, actually.
There's a salt in the lime.
But yeah, it's gonna get a nice solid 4 for me.
I didn't lose my shaker of salt, though.
That's alright. But it's gonna get a 4 on the taste because it tastes really good. It's smooth. You get good flavors through each drink. And unlike what I've experienced with most tequilas, I didn't need to clear my throat and process the drink for a minute before continuing on and having another sip. So I feel like it was really, really good. I feel like it earned that 4.
I'm going to go 5, and here's why. Everything you said is 100% dead on. I really tried to get into tequilas because my wife, her family, I really tried to get into it, and I really want to try exploring, like, the mezcals and the tequilas, and I have just fallen flat on my face with them, and this was the first one where it was like, holy crap, I can actually enjoy and experience what a tequila is, like kind of like how I experience and enjoy a bourbon. And that's why I'm going to give it a 5. And the cool thing is the celebrity that actually makes this tequila. He's actually a pretty awesome celebrity. I really like him. And I know we're trying to stay away from the copyright, but he's an awesome celebrity. I think that he'd just be a cool dude to go hang out.
You know, I know who it is. I think he's, as far as what I heard, he's a cool dude. He's an awesome dude. He wouldn't get mad at us, but I don't want to.
I don't want to
dig into that realm.
No, but guys, this is a good tequila. All right, you ready, Jimmy? Final send off, man. We'll see you when we see you, bud. Cheers. Man, that is a good one. That makes an awesome margarita, and that is just a premix. What are your thoughts, man?
I think I'm gonna have to taste this again.
Go ahead.
The salt overpowered it for me.
I think I got a little too much salt in the room. I apologize.
There we go.
Like, I get it comes through, but it's like so subtle. Those floral, like I get the oak and the floral, and it just kind of just ties everything together. It's so good. Like it does a great job.
I get the vanilla coming through nice and strong right up front, which complements that mix that you got there. And then the caramel and the oak just kind of come in at the end and tie it all together. But that is a very good drink. Now, I'm going to admit something here. This is my first margarita. And the reason,
wait, hold on, wait. How long have we been friends?
we've been friends a long time.
Hold on, wait. Whoa.
But we've talked about this before. Every time we have a get together, what do I make? What do I make for myself?
A Buzz Lightyear.
No. I make screwdriver.
Usually you have me make you something with, yeah, alright, okay.
I make a screwdriver every time.
I make you some with vodka. Okay, alright.
Now, because of my relationship with tequila, I've only ever had tequila straight. I've never actually drank margarita. Not even from Chili's. None. So that's the first time I've had a margarita.
See, now I need to actually make you a real margarita, not a premixed one.
We can do that later, and I actually wouldn't mind as long as it's done with this teremana.
This one's a huge hit for me. All right, let's go into drinkability, man. Do you mind if I go first?
No, absolutely. Go first in drinkability.
I gotta give it a 5, man. Here's the thing. It is, like I said, it is one of the very few, probably the first tequila where if I was to go to a family event or I was to go to a bar and they're like, no, dude, we're doing tequila shots. If Teremana's on there, okay, we're doing Teremana there because I can shoot that tequila, I can drink that tequila. Absolutely.
You know, I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
Wow. Oh. I'm glad to hear you say that, but that's
I'm going to give it a 5 as well. Because even neat, I was able to drink it, and it drank to me, again, like this Crystal Head did. It was smooth. It was good. The burn wasn't excessive, which is what I'm used to on the tequilas, which is why I've never had a margarita, as I've been terrified of that burn coming through on the margarita. I'm also not a huge fan of the salt, but in that margarita, even in the premix, it tasted really good. The flavors came through and complemented the drink really well, and
it works. It just works.
It's a great one. So yes, as far as drinkability, if I were at the bar and Teremana is an option, you know what? I want to break out of my usual vodka drinks. Sure, give me a Teremana.
I agree.
On there. So yeah, absolutely. 5 out of 5 on that.
Okay, now I think you're gonna get a little surprised when you hear what I paid for this one. I'm gonna ask you something. How much do you think I paid for that bottle?
Knowing what I know about tequilas, knowing how much, which, let's be honest, I don't know tell me about the tequilas, because we have such a bad relationship. I'm gonna say you paid probably $55 $55.
$41.99.
$41.99.
Yes. Now there are 3 levels.
So you're telling me you paid less for this than you did for this?
Yes. Here's the thing. I've seen this in Utah where we live, Nevada when I go to Nevada, and Colorado when I'm out there for work in Denver. It stays very true to that $40 to $43 price range. There are 3 different levels of this. There is I think it's either the agave or the blanco. This one,
The Reposado.
the reposado, and then there's another one that's above this one. I think that one is around 50, 55. I really want to try that one though.
So you're telling me that's the mid tier?
This is the mid tier. There is one above it that's a black label that I really want to get.
You're telling me this is the base tier for Crystal Head.
Yes. Yes.
Mid tier for Teremana.
Yes.
And this is more than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you give it? I think you got to think about this one, so I'm going to tell you mine.
I got to think about this
All
one
right.
for a minute. As always with the cost, I always have to think about it for a minute.
That's okay, though. I give it a 5, and here's why. If I'm going to go off of the tried and true tequila that everybody, I feel like at least in the United States is used to, which is Patron, like Patron Silver, Patron Gold. You're in the Patron Silver 50. I think you're in the Patron Gold now around, 60-ish?
Right.
Depending on where you live. This is, I think, the equivalent, because I think Patron Gold is the same style.
Well,
it gets a vibe.
It
tastes better to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same style as the Patron Gold. I mean, look at that. It's a nice golden color.
Yeah, it's just, I think Patron Gold is a reposado too, but he's so good to me. It gets a vibe.
I would not give it a 5 on cost.
Okay, but what are you going to give it?
4.9.
We're going to take that and we're going to run with it, folks. I will allow him to give this a 4.9.
Well, we never agreed on.
We didn't ever agree actually on how we're pointing this.
We never did agree on whole numbers. You tried to force us into whole numbers on episode 1. I overrode you and was like, no, go ahead and give it a
Okay,
half.
but why is it getting docked to the 0.1? What are you killing it on?
They're going to hate me for this.
All right, go ahead.
And docking at the 0.1, because just for my comfort level and for the way my palate is,
Okay.
I'd still rather have the $24.99 silver dollar.
But this is tequila. This isn't.
I know.
All right.
But there are other liquors that drink. I have a hard time thinking of that as a tequila. It drank more like a vodka to me than a tequila. And
you just have a lot of conflicting emotions right now.
And I find this interesting. Which is why it's a 4.9, because I can't say it's not worth the $41.99, because it is. But that's also what I feel like I'd pay for the silver dollar, and I kind of would rather have that.
That's
than
fair.
this.
We'll let that one go. That's okay.
The 4.9. That's the only reason why I give it a point.
You nitpicked it a little bit. Let's just go.
I got picky.
That's all right. You can nitpick it. All right. Overall, what are your overall thoughts on it?
Overall thoughts on this guy? He drinks super well. No doubt about it. Really, really well meat. Really, really good mixed in that margarita. I don't know what other drinks you can mix with a tequila, because I'm not that into the tequila.
So I'll make you eventually my wife's favorite tequila mixed drink, which is a tequila sunrise.
But I feel like if you were, I don't care what the drink is you're making with that teremana. Yeah, I'm gonna drink it. I'm gonna be happy about it, even before I've had anything to drink. If I show up to one of our get-togethers and you're like, "Hey, I'm making tequila sunrises with teremana," never had a tequila sunrise, I'm gonna be like, "Dude, pass. Give it to me.
So is it
Pass it over.
So it's safe to say you're giving this a 5?
It is safe to say I'm giving this.
Alrighty, that's awesome. Because I've got to give it a 5 too. It's such a solid tequila. I have nothing bad to say about it. And for me, I struggle with tequilas, and to find a tequila, this one's going to stay regularly stocked in the bar. Period. End of story. And then I am going to go buy their The top tier one, which is the black label.
I want to try their top tier one now.
I don't remember what it's called though.
Okay, I have a request.
What's the request? Oh wow, you got a request. All
I
right.
got a request. You buy the top tier.
Okay.
I'll get the low tier.
You want to do a straight up
I
teremana?
want to do a straight up teremana head to head.
Okay.
His low tier versus his high tier, and see
Where they
how
stack.
much of a difference there is between the two.
So I do know on the black label.
We'll recount our review of this guy here.
Okay. So I do know on the black label it is aged more, but I can't remember the age statement. But I know it has an age statement.
I'm not even concerned with the age.
You're just like, I want to try this.
I want to try the rest.
I'm down with that. I'm totally fine with that. That's totally cool.
By the way, folks, if you have one you'd like us to try,
I
let us
probably
know.
have it.
He probably has it. If he doesn't have it, as we're talking about now, we're willing to go pick it up and try it for you. So, let us know if you have another one down in the comments below.
Also, make sure you like and subscribe us because that's kind of how this works, guys. I hate to say it, that's how it works.
You're not going to know what we do until you like and subscribe.
And if you like what we're doing here, if you like and subscribe, eventually here in the near future, we're going to release. You remember what they used to do in the old days when you used to go watch a movie and there were all the blooper reels at the end of the movie to the credits?
You'll want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some. I don't know
We
if I
got
should
some-
be saying that.
No, we can tease them a little bit, but don't give away the farm. There'll be some good stuff out there.
Farm,
We're going to have a Patreon up later on that you can donate to, and we'll have those bloopers available for anyone who donates on the Patreon page.
And if we really feel like it and you really want to laugh, I might release the prototype episode. I might.
He and I will debate that.
Yeah, that one was a dumpster fire.
Anyway,
I know we do this a lot, but go ahead, give me my score. I want to give you your score because this one surprised me.
that's kind of how we've defaulted to doing this, is
Right.
by telling each other's score. You give it a full 20 out of 20, which surprises me to no end.
Having already had a lot of experience with this tequila, and I've really tried very, very hard to get into tequila. Tequila. It's getting me a little bit here. Anyway, it earns it. It really earns it. And I feel it's even more cool that the individual that produces this tequila, awesome person. I really feel like it's well deserved. It really is.
I can't comment on that person. I've never met that person. I have heard good stories. I hope they're true.
He's entertaining to watch. I love watching him.
It's super entertaining. I just love his movies.
You blew my mind on this. And if the creator of this tequila ever sees this, just so you know, awesome job. 18.9.
And
What?
the point one is me just being nitpicky. I mean, if we really
You have time to change it.
well, there's always time to change it. But if we're really serious, it's probably actually 19. I didn't want to give him a full 5 on that because there's one other drink that I like slightly better.
I'm blown away because you've never had a margarita. You don't drink tequila. You're scared of tequila, and yet you're giving the
I
teremana
wouldn't say I'm
reposado. It's okay to say it.
You
You're
know-
giving it literally a score of 19 out of 20 and 18.9. That just proves that this is
It does.
its word. Because
I mean,
go ahead.
I'm going to cut you off and pause you for a minute, just for a moment. I give it that 19 out of 20, which I believe is higher than I've given either of the two vodkas I've reviewed so far.
Yeah,
I think that actually might be my highest score yet.
I would agree with that. Actually, yes.
It might be. If not, it's.
No, Johnny got higher.
Did Johnny get higher?
I think Johnny got a 19.5. I think you not Johnny
Okay.
was the price.
That could be. But the fact that it got so high for me
It surprised me.
and again, I didn't want to say I'm scared of tequila. But
It's okay to say.
it's kind of true. I've been scared of the tequilas. I didn't want to get knocked on my butt like I did with that Elijah Craig. I admitted at the beginning I was expecting to be on my butt and dying with this, and I wasn't. I was amazingly surprised by this.
Mm-hmm.
And
would you keep this stock in your personal?
Absolutely.
I agree 110%. This is just a knockout tequila. I think both of these did really well, though, and they're both solid contenders. I definitely feel like the Teremana just ran away, though.
Oh, the Teremana ran away with the scores on this one because it's so surprising and so well balanced in everything that it does. It's the way that it hits, as far as cost for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It hits above its weight class.
Absolutely, I would agree with that 110%.
So, which is why it scores high there. It tastes great neat.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes great mixed. I have almost nothing bad to say about this.
Well, and what's crazy, though, is we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, where celebrity alcohols, they have a reputation. They have this very interesting thing, and for this to be a celebrity alcohol, and for it to literally just hit the home runs that it's hitting is not a. And I'm not gonna lie, I bought it because when I found out who made it, actually it was recommended to me by a gentleman in Vegas. Believe it or not, actually, I was talking with a gentleman in Vegas. He recommended it to me, and when I heard who made it and who produces this, I went, you know what? I don't care because I like this guy enough, I like this individual enough, and I like what this person does. What the heck? Let's go give it a shot. So I went and bought it all, and to what you just said, absolutely on mark. It blew me away, and I was like, because I was expecting something along the lines of maybe like, I don't know, like a Don Julio or a Patron, and I was like, okay, like my wife was standing there as I was taking this shot, like this thing's gonna burn, and then all of a sudden,
Well,
I poured another.
I'm having a hard time not pouring another now.
I know, but we're there. We need to stop.
I want to argue with you because I want another. I won't, but that's how good it is.
It's really good.
The fact that I'm arguing with you and willing to argue a little bit more to get more of this, but not more of this.
That's surprising.
And this
Very
is
surprising.
my favorite drink.
That is your go-to.
That just tells you how good this one is, folks. So,
Thank you.
Try this one. It's amazing.
Absolutely, I agree.
But alas, it is time for us to end. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Double Barrel Podcast this week. Please do give us a like and subscribe if you like what we're doing. We'd love to hear from you down in the comments as well, especially if you have a liquor you'd like us to try.
And guys, if we can get enough views and enough likes, how many do you think? And we'll do I'll go buy the other two and we'll do that as a special in addition to our normal.
Oh, you're going to make me have to work for it?
Absolutely, I'm going to make you have to work for it.
All right, how about 1,000?
1,000? You know what? I'm going to say
We're due. This is episode 3. Come on.
I'll be nice. Okay, guys.
1,000 likes.
Okay.
20 comments.
I'm going to say 250. I'm going to be realistic on this one.
Well, sorry, 1,000 views.
Okay. I was like, wow, dude, you're really swinging the fences on this one.
1,000 views. Let's say 20 comments and 75 likes.
There you go. All right. But you know what, guys? You know we're going to end up doing that anyway, but we still appreciate the support. So
that's true.
Justin, you got any final comments here? Let's let these people get on with their day.
My only final comments are: remember the 4 golden rules of gun safety. You know, we've gone over those numerous times. I don't feel like we need to go over them again.
No.
But
guns and alcohol don't mix. It's period, end of story. And the reason why we do this is because we literally went shooting today. We came home. We did our review of the gun. Now we're just enjoying a nice drink with friends and family. This is what a lot of people like to do at the end of the day. But be safe, be smart, everybody.
Don't drink and drive.
Thank you for this. Yes, do not drink and drive. Always remember your friend's got a couch or a blow-up mattress.
Friend's got a couch, blow-up mattress, Uber, Lyft, taxi,
There's so many options out there. Don't be stupid.
Please be safe as you go through.
Absolutely.
Later into the night.
All right, guys. Thanks again from Double Barrel Podcast here at the Tombstone Tavern here in my basement.
This is Chris.
This is Justin.
Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.